All good?
Yep.
All right. So, G, take us back to right at the very start.
I think going into a grand final as an undefeated team, there's obviously going to be that bit of pressure, and I think there's something wrong with you if you weren't nervous going into it. I certainly felt the nerves, not so much for, I guess, the pure result, but what it meant for the program and the work that we'd done over the 5 years to get to that point, to have an undefeated season. There was also a lot happening. AFLW was coming in. We probably knew that it was sort of a little bit of a changing of the guard with the era of that team and the people around it. So there was that pressure on there to want to perform and to, I guess, do the team justice and get the result that we felt that we all deserved. But there was, just such a determination amongst the group to get that result for everyone that had represented the VFL program over those 5 years.
It's like a light office.
I know it is. Yeah, that's kind of why we moved, because it was very dark. Have a seat. How are you?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I do want to ask you something, because I'm curious, like with the answer and what you've said. AFLW is the dream for you. We're coming into a lot of firsts. Like, there's going to be a lot of firsts that are happening in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
There's going to be our first AFLW team. I just really want to know, do you want to be our first player?
Yes, I would.
Because, mate, we would love to have you as our first AFLW player.
Thank you.
Yeah, to be signed as the first ever Essendon AFLW player is obviously a very, very special moment. Probably at the time didn't really sink in as to what that meant. The club obviously has such a rich history, and to then be a part of that history as the first player is something that will live with me forever.
Throughout the whole process, it's been about focusing on what's right in front of us and focusing on what we need to do. Today is just a record of that.
You have earned through work rate, and you have the respect of every single person in this room, and that's what we started.
It's Essendon and the Southern Saints in the 2022 Rebel VFL Women's Grand Final. What a contest we're in store for. Needs to sit here on the bounce for Doonan. Saints have the numbers. Doonan has the tackle, almost enough on it. Nanscawen just boots it forward into territory. McIntosh might get a gift in central turn provider. It's Tierney. And that spells danger, because Doonan's a jet and got some pace too. Wriggles her way free and runs the J curve. Handball to the outside. Nanscawen was awake to it. She chips forward. Tierney there, looking for a second, having a big say. Clark, surrounded by a triangle of Saints, drags it in as well. Nanscawen with the support.
Even her leadership showing through there. She knew just to take the sting out of the game, slow it down a little bit.
They've taken the scoreboard out of it, and they're just going to play the game. Nanscawen's going to not allow anything past. Now a mark. It'll be a bit slow to get up. Bit of an awkward landing here for Georgia Nanscawen. And
yeah, that classic word, innocuous. There wasn't much in it really, and went up for the mark, and just as I came down felt the knee give way, and had never obviously done an ACL before, but I guess was exactly what people described it as. It didn't particularly hurt, it just felt odd. It felt like it popped. I was down and then started to get up and couldn't really, and that was probably when I knew that something wasn't quite right, and obviously your mind then starts to jump around all over the shop. And then it was sort of the sitting down and the physios doing the tests, and I think everyone pretty much knew at that point what it was. So yeah, whilst the game was still playing out, kind of trying to come to terms with what that meant. There was obviously a lot of excitement, relief to have won. I've spoken about the pressure that was sort of there and you know, wanting to finish everything off so well. That's what we'd been pushing for, and to be able to lift the cup was, you know, everything that we were striving for. Yeah, and at the same time, sort of knowing that basically my next 12 months were wiped out. So it was, yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, I think. Even sort of now, looking back on the day, probably the first emotion's probably more that of like sadness rather than the excitement and the happiness like of winning the grand final. Yeah, so the rehab process, I think, is pretty well known that it's close to a year-long process till you're fully right to go again. Obviously, I was pretty determined to try to get that smashed out as quick as possible and break any record I could for doing an ACL rehabilitation, but very obviously fortunate to have such an incredible medical group around me. You know, once we knew what it was having the scan, getting in for surgery, getting the swelling down. Once the surgery was done, ticking all those little boxes, so getting the range of motion back, all the really small things that are very, very tedious and take a long time. And then obviously building up back into the running dynamics and still being a leader of the AFLW group and trying to work out what my role then looked like. Obviously very different to what I was hoping it might look like for that first season, but yeah, trying to go through that my own rehab process while also supporting the group on field.
How'd you go non-contact today?
Yeah, good. Yeah, because I mean, it sort of turns into contact a little bit anyway.
Yeah, you get that incidental.
Which was a good test, and,
yep.
And that was all fine. So.
Yeah. How do you think it is?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident. My history of healing pretty quickly from things, and it's got better each day. So
it's a bit tricky, like just with where timings are and like selecting a team and so forth. And obviously, like, you don't want to go into a game without having done full training.
Yeah, of course.
So like we'll get through Thursday and full train, and if you get through, how about we put your magnet to be your first Essendon game on the board?
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome, mate. It's real testament to bloody the long road, yeah?
Yeah.
Been a bloody long road, but how do you feel about it?
Quite emotional.
Yeah.
It's it's obviously been a long road, so yeah.
Yeah. And so when you go out there, you just got to do you, right? Like all those amazing things that make you why you're here. You know, that's do you and enjoy it. Come here. Makes it all worth it, right?
Yeah, I'm very proud of where I am right now. Again, it's probably something that I don't really acknowledge a huge amount. You know, it always feels like there's unfinished business and the job's not done just yet, and I probably don't fully reflect back on the achievements that have come along the way and the process in it all. So yeah, it always feels like there's a lot more to achieve and a lot more, yeah, the job's not done yet, but the more I do reflect on it and trying to accept those little wins and really not take anything for granted now and appreciate the last 12 months for what it was. Yeah, I feel very proud to be back and yeah, excited to hopefully pull the jersey on for Essendon AFLW.
(1,651 days since you last played at AFLW level, 426 days since you last donned the sash. What you've done in that time is you've showed up every single day with your resilience and your persistence to come back at this level. and we are bloody a better group with you in it, G. I hope you've had a moment to reflect on those 426 days, and you probably won't until after you've actually finished the game today, mate. But anyone that knows ACLs knows how tough it is. You know your physio is better than you end up knowing yourself sometimes, and you get really vulnerable with them. So I'll let them do the pleasure.
It's so nice to be back amongst the group, and you know, I've already said it, but like I'm a very, very competitive person, and just to be able to compete back on track again and learn being on the field is just, you know, that's why we play. We play to compete, and it's really exciting that yeah, we're not far away from games now, and the potential to run out there with the girls is something that I'm really looking forward to, and hopefully get the opportunity to do.
The Hawks and Essendon, the second instalment at AFLW level.
Nanscawen tries to find Prasparkas with a hand pass.
Essendon was dominating inside the contest with Nanscawen, Prasparkas. They've got such a balance around that stoppage now.
Slapped away. Nanscawen. There's Prasparkas' replacement out towards Scott. Good loop there as well. Ashmore. Nanscawen.
Alexander's kick is wide and out, but it matters little. The Bombers prevail on night one once again over the Hawks.
Yeah, there's obviously like a lot of roller coasters through any rehab journey. In terms of an ACL rehab, it was probably a relatively smooth one in terms of the actual knee and how it behaved, I guess. Probably more mental, like setback, trying to find new challenges or ways to keep me motivated when you lose that competition, and something to strive for, like what's motivating you each day when the end goal is still so far away. So trying to come up with things to keep me going. And yeah, there are times that you feel like you're completely fine, and then you end up in tears, like in the back room, because like it just suddenly hits you. So there were certainly a lot of those over the journey.